It's Réal Andrews, and I want to welcome you to the premiere episode of Getting Real on your hometown station, KH 1220 AM. I'm fired up. I'm excited. This has been a long time coming. I'm here with my co-host, Deanna Miller, over there. And we have actually a very special guest today, Alex, my good buddy. He's going to be helping us out as well. We got a great show for you today. I want to share with you, we're also going live on Periscope. If you've got questions, I got my beautiful wife out there. She's going to be giving us the questions while we're on a break so we can answer your questions. So get your pen and journal ready because I don't want you to miss a moment. And we're going to start right in here. We're going to start the show. We like to start the show with, you know, there's so much negativity in the world that what we decided to do, let's start it off with something positive in the news, something that goes in line with our topic. Today we're talking about, are you coachable? Because through the next several months we're going to help people to be great. And I saw something on the news today about two twins, Sam and Alex Kimura, and they're not twins, actually sisters, and the younger sister, Sam, has been faced where she needs to find a bone marrow. And a lot of times when we find ourselves at the bottom, we're faced by what our life gives us to be coachable immediately, and we can make a choice. What are we going to do? Are we going to go, woe is me, or are we going to take action? And they've taken action. And what they've decided to do is drive across the country looking for somebody to find a match, hopefully for Sam, for her bone marrow to save her life. They haven't yet found one, and I'm going to post this video on my webpage later and in the blog so you can check it out. But they haven't found one, but what I'm excited about, they found 33 donors out there that they're going to change 33 lives. What do you guys think of that?
I think that it inspires me to know that, you know, there are people out there in the world that don't just sit around and wait for things to happen, that they decided that they were going to be proactive and just kind of go out and create things, make things happen, stir things up. They're not just going to sit around and just kind of wait and let things happen and fall in their lap.
Right. No, absolutely. I think that the really the core messaging that I get from what they're doing is, you know, you can sit back and you can wait for people to tell you bad news, and then hopefully there's an outcome. But really what it boils down to is taking action and living your life every day to the fullest. And I think what these girls are showing us is that regardless of if the outcome for them is negative, they've impacted so many lives positively. And that really, you can take that motivation and you can use it when you're looking to become coachable.
Absolutely. And, you know, I just, one thing to share with you, as a lot of you know, I'm a two-time Hawaii Ironman, and I don't know, you might know the backstory really quick. My brother was faced, he was given 3 months to live. I decided to do the Ironman to give him hope to live longer. In the process, he said to me, he said, let's take this negative and turn it into a positive. And we set out to raise money for Camp Ronald McDonald's. We ended up raising $100,000. I had to cross the finish line to do it, but the same kind of thing. So, guys, we're going to post this video, watch it. Please reach out to them. Maybe they're coming to your area and you can donate your bone marrow and we can maybe save some lives. So with that said, it's time to get real. And we're going to just jump right in. Deanna, where we got today?
Yeah, so we've been talking about this for a while. Réal and I have been working together now for a few months. I've been training and losing weight and being, you know, awesome and fantastic. And what it boils down to is I had to find my purpose and my why. So we've talked about that before when we were co-hosting the Ballacor show, filling in for the lovely Ballacor people. So really what I want to talk about now is once I came to my purpose and my why, what are some tips and advice that we can give the public, the community out there that's putting off those moments, that aha, that where do I start? How do you become coachable? What kind of steps do you need to take? I know what steps I took. You know, setting the alarm, getting up in the morning, realizing who my purpose was, that being my son. What kind of steps do people need to take to discover why they're hitting that roadblock over and over and over again when it comes to changing their lives, whatever it is, whether it's weight loss, personal growth, you know, mental health, physical health, whatever? What steps do people need to take?
Well, you know, that's actually a great place to start, and the reason we picked being coachable, because that's where we need to start. And, you know, actually you said something to me, Alex, and it kind of is a great place to start. So let's just start there. I love the analogy that you actually said to me. To be coachable means that you need to be able to, if I tell you to go hug a tree, you're going to go hug that tree. You're not going to question me. You're not going to say, because coachable, and that's why people stumble, Deanna, because at first it's easy. You could say, hey, I can lock into and relate to that my son is my purpose. That's
right.
easy. But then when Réal says you're not supposed to drink alcohol and you're not supposed to do this and you're supposed to do that, then the person starts going, well, I'm coachable, but I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, but I'm not going to do this and I'm not going to do that. No, you're not coachable.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when it comes to being coachable, you have to be willing to take an honest look at yourself and say, I've done a good job at coaching myself to get to the current results that I'm at. But anything past that, to be where I really desire to be, in between where I'm at and where I want to be, is a gap. And you now cannot coach yourself inside the gap. We all have one. So what you need to do is reach out to somebody that's not attached to your insecurities, your fears, your past. Somebody that's on the outside that can hold you higher than you hold yourself. Somebody that can hold you accountable when you're not holding yourself accountable. And somebody that can create a game plan and keep you on that game plan no matter what. And what you got to do is you got to totally surrender everything to that person. You got to surrender your feelings, your emotions, and you just got to have a yes, sir, or yes, ma'am attitude. And if they're telling you to do it, it's because they can see something that you can't. And that's what coachable is to me, is somebody that just totally surrenders their mind, their thought, their negativity, their fears, and they just say, I'm like putty in your hands. Tell me what you need to do. But you also have to trust that person. You have to know that they genuinely, authentically have your best interest at hand and that they're going to fight for you to win. Not every coach is for you. You have to find the one that really just sings to your spirit, one that really connects to you and goes, I want to be coached by this person. And when you find that person, just lock on them unconditionally. And like I said, if they tell you to go, hug a tree, go do it. I don't care if it's for an hour. It's because they see something valuable there for you, even when you can't. And I think that's where the personal breakthroughs come from.
That's good.
So then let's jump back a little bit, because yes, that's when the personal breakthroughs happen. Totally agree. But what about the person who yet hasn't seen the gap? How do you identify the gap? And
I'm glad you asked that question, because the question you asked me wasn't really addressing her question. Your question is for the people that haven't found the why, that are sitting there kind of swimming around in their stuff. To me, the advice I give those people is to start looking at the prices that you're paying in your life. That's what motivates people. Mm-hmm. Stop ignoring that there are prices you're paying. What are those prices? And sit down and do some self-reflection and look at those. If the prices you're paying in your life is that you keep doing the same thing over and over again, not creating the results that you're looking for, or if you keep sabotaging your own results and you all of a sudden aren't motivated, or you're depressed more often than not, or you have pain in your knees, or you can't sleep at night, or you're sluggish, look at those. Those are the prices that you're paying. You have to really be tired of those prices. You have to be willing to say and decide that there has to be a better way. Mm-hmm. And when you get real and you're willing to be honest that you are paying prices, is usually when there's a little fire that lights inside of you, and now you're looking for your coach. You're looking for somebody to inspire. Have you ever heard the saying, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear? Mm-hmm. Well, you as the student have to decide that you're ready. And usually it's when you start to look at the prices that you're paying. For me, at a certain point, pivotal moment in my life, where I realized that the price I'm paying for not taking care of my physical well-being is that I might not be around very long. And my kids are very important to me, and me being around to be a grandfather to my grandkids is my why. And so it just got to the point where I couldn't ignore it anymore. So that's really what it's about. It's about looking at what are the prices I'm going to pay. And when I started really to be honest with that, I started to see myself in the hospital having a heart attack with all my loved ones, my beautiful daughters and my son sitting there around there crying for me. And that's not what I want. So that's what lit me up. That's what got me to say, all right, let's do something different.
And that's exactly what I talk about when I say you can pay the price now, or you can pay the price later when you get the bill for obesity, diabetes, high blood pressure, early death. And the reality is, I tell people that all the time, you need to be able to look in the mirror. And so when you're talking about finding the gap, Deanna, the reality is, unfortunately, a lot of people, like we talked about at the opening, they got to find that rock bottom, to look at that gap. Because until then, they're not willing to hear it. And a lot of times, sometimes something tragic happens and it's too late. I mean, how many times do you hear people, they've had a heart attack and then they figure it out because they got lucky. Not everybody has a heart attack and doesn't get a chance to come back.
But what's funny? Even in my business as a coach, you would think that there would be people that are excited to be living average, ordinary lives and then wanting extraordinary. I find that it usually takes somebody to hit some kind of chaos or some kind of tragedy before they start looking for help. That just seems to be the theme in the world. It just seems to be that as long as things are okay, people are okay with being okay. It's not until all of a sudden something doesn't go right, or their kids have made a turn for the worse, or all of a sudden now their husband or their wife isn't happy in the relationship anymore. It's usually some kind of tragedy or some kind of big issue that comes up that all of a sudden now people are looking for help. But the average person doesn't say, I'm not okay with just living just an average, ordinary life. I want extraordinary. Mm-hmm. That doesn't fire people up. And I think it's the same thing when it comes to physical health. You don't have people banging on the door saying, I'm okay, but I want to be great. Mm-hmm. It's usually somebody that's kind of really hit, like you said, rock bottom before all of a sudden they want to do something different.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, one of the things that, doing some research for today, one of the things I came across in a lot of the groups that I belong in, taking those risks and taking those chances to move forward and get out of your box and things like that were the things that I heard people saying is their fear for moving forward. For me, when I took that leap to start my own business and quit my day job and, be a entrepreneur, that was a huge moment in time where I just had to sort of take a leap, and I had a great support system. So if you're looking to make changes in that way, let's say you're looking to make changes from you're changing a job, maybe it's not physical, maybe it's not those types of things. Maybe you're looking to change your job, maybe you're looking to change your career, maybe you want to go back to school. Once you've started to take those steps, you found your gap, what kinds of things should people look for in a good coach? Once they've decided they're coachable, what kinds of tips can you give people who maybe not are here in the Santa Clarita area or Los Angeles area? When you're looking for a good coach, you've decided to trust and take that leap, what should you look for?
For me, it's authenticity. I've gotten really good at understanding the ego and really being a student of understanding the ego versus the spirit. And I can, in about 3 minutes, decide if you've done enough work on yourself where you're authentic and humble. And it's a certain language that's spoken, and it's not with words. It's an energy. It's a way of being. It's the way that you carry yourself. It's some of the words that you use that will let me know if you're authentic. I look for authentic people because those are the people that I'm drawn towards. But it also helps by you being and mastering your own authenticity. Have you ever heard the word, if you spot it, you got it? Have you heard that?
Yes.
Yeah, that means if you see greatness in people, it's because that's the greatness that you're doing the work on yourself.
Today,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. And you know what, from my point of view, when I look for in a good coach, or if I'm telling, the students, because I'm immediately testing them. I'm immediately testing them by just giving them some simple homework, like, hey, email me your like why you want to do this. I want it by tonight. I don't get it by tonight, I already know how much you're not committed. Now, me as a coach, because I want greatness for you, one of the things that, I've been working on is I got to have a little more compassion, because the old school Réal is, okay, you're not ready, give me a call when you're ready. But I realized, which brings me to a point which I wanted to ask you, we know that 3% of the world is coachable, per se. That's what they say. So does that mean the other 97% are SOL, or can the other 90% change and become coachable?
I wouldn't look at the other 90%. I would look at the next 30%. The next 30% on the top of that list want to be coachable. They just don't know how, but they're ready for it. They're just looking for somebody to teach them how to be coachable. So instead of focusing on the other 90, narrow it down and find your top 30 and start teaching people how to be coachable with your patience, with your instructions, with your expectations, and narrow it down to those people rather than look. It's like fishing in the. Are you going to fish in the whole ocean, right in the center of the ocean, or are you going to go into the nice little cove area where all the fish are gathering?
Nice big fish.
Yeah. So narrow it down to the top 30 people that have good potential, and then start working with those people, and then you'll inspire a few of those people to step up and rise to that level rather than trying to go for all 90 of them.
Okay. Cool. Now, what I want to talk next, I'm going to hand it over to Deanna, what her expertise is social media. And I've decided that I want to take a moment on every show to do a social media tip of the week, especially focused towards the youth, because there's so many things. And I asked her, talk about some things that, as a parent, we need to be looking for, some stuff we can be searching for.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I have done over the last few months is I've become certified in a lot of different trainings. I've done a lot of trainings for parent groups. I just did a webinar this morning for a mom's group. So we talk a lot about the ways that you can engage with your kids or students or whatever you're working with, if you're a teacher or you're a parent. And one of the things I want to challenge everybody to do today, my big tip is, I challenge you to sit down 30 minutes a week with your kids and review their social media. Figure out what social media channels they're on. Talk to them about what they're doing with social media. Are they on Instagram? Are they on Snapchat? One of the big things that people find out is that a lot of times kids are making friends across the country. They're engaging with people they don't know that aren't the appropriate age. And what you really want to do is have an open dialogue. So I'm challenging everybody to coach themselves into a position where they're taking 30 minutes a week, schedule it with your kids, put it on the calendar, put it on the refrigerator, put it on their bathroom mirror as a reminder. We're spending 30 minutes tonight to talk about your social media. I want your Facebook logins. I want your email login. I want to know who you're friends with and what's going on. And I've already started this conversation with my 9-year-old. So if you have a 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old, 16-year-old, it's never too late to start the conversation and start talking to them so that they know that they can trust you and that you're a team and you're working together to make sure that everyone is safe and sound, no matter if it's in real life or online.
So let me ask you this, Deanna, with that as a parent, and because, I have 3 kids myself. So, and kids these days are a lot more ornery than we used to be when we get. So what's some advice for some parents out there who maybe don't have the Southern attitude that Réal has? And like, you can't look at my Snapchat. This is mine. And they tell, what would you give those parents some suggestions?
Right. So one of the things that we talked about this morning was we had some parents who were concerned about their kids have already had their cell phones for a year, 2 years. Well, now I'm going to say that it's mine again, not yours. One of the things you have to remind your kids is that everything in the world is a privilege, not a right, until they turn 18 and they can pay for it themselves. I was raised in Southern California, not in the ornery South, and those were the rules when it came to all the electronics, and back then it was VCRs. But anything that was not mine, that I didn't pay for, that I didn't buy, belonged to my parents. So my tip is remind them that it's a privilege, not a right, and that you can take it away. You can take it away. It doesn't belong to them until they can start paying for it.
That's a great distinction. I think that, there's a gray line there with the common parent in today's world. They forgot that they're afraid. Yeah. And they just now it's kind of like, it's just the assumption that, of course, you're supposed to have a phone because everyone does. And no, it doesn't have to be like that. You can decide that it's something you got to earn. You get to earn it. And until that point, I'm the owner of it.
One of the moms that I was working with this morning made me really proud. She actually switched out her kids' smartphone for a flip phone because they weren't using it appropriately. Loved it.
Well, everybody, hey, listen, we've had some great stuff already. We're going to be coming back. We're going to be talking more about purpose and why. Make sure you go down to Hometown Station. You can listen live. You can download your free KHTS AM 1220 app and take us anywhere. So you are listening to Getting Real with Réal Andrews and Deanna Miller on Hometown Station 1220 AM.